Cenote el Zacaton, a breathtaking natural wonder in Aldama municipality near the Sierra de Tamaulipas, Mexico, is part of the Zacaton system, a group of 5 cenotes formed of unusual karst features. Its crystal-clear emerald waters reflect the lush greenery surrounding its circular opening, which reveals a serene, mirror-like surface often adorned with floating grass islands. The sheer limestone walls plunge to an astounding depth of 1,122 feet, making it one of the deepest known water-filled sinkholes in the world. Sunlight filters through the water, casting beams that dance in the deep blue, revealing a hidden, silent world below. Sheck Exley, born on April 1, 1949 in Jacksonville, Florida, was a diving wizard who began exploring underwater caves at a young age. By 16, he had already amassed numerous cave dives and quickly rose as a prominent figure in the diving community. Exley played a crucial role in developing safety protocols and techniques still used in cave diving today, authoring influential books like Caverns Measureless to Man. His meticulous planning and focus on safety advanced the sport significantly. Throughout his career, Exley shattered records, becoming the first to log over 1,000 cave dives and dive beyond 800 feet in a cave, exploring some of the most challenging and uncharted systems worldwide. On May 2, 1990, divers Jim Bowden and Gary Walton began exploring the cenotes. Starting at the Nacimiento, where the river from Zacaton emerges, they noticed a boil on the water near a limestone outcrop. Following the current, they found a small cave and ventured northeast until their line ran out. After retrieving more line, they resumed, with Gary leading. Soon, he saw a green glow, indicating a natural light source. They realized they had connected to the surface and emerged into Zacaton at a depth of 26 feet, surfacing in the beautiful cenote named after the floating islands of tall grass, Zacate. In April 1993, the team set out on an exciting journey to explore the 5 ranch cenotes, using advanced mixed gas technology for safer deep dives. Legendary cave diver Sheck Exley joined the team, adding extra excitement to the mission. When Jim Bowden and Exley dived into the unknown depths of Zacaton, they were amazed to find no bottom in sight. Bowden reached 258 feet, and Exley went even deeper to 407 feet, but neither found the bottom, proving earlier estimates of 250 feet to be wrong. Determined to find the true depth, Bowden, Exley, and Kristovich returned the next day. As they lowered the dive line, it passed 500, 800, and then 1,000 feet, finally stopping at an incredible 1080 feet, revealing the true depth of this mysterious abyss. The goal was thus declared that within the calendar year, a dive to obtain the bottom of Zacaton would be made by Bowden and Exley. Members of the team made 6 trips to Mexico during the ensuing 12 months. With each return, Bowden dove progressively deeper in order to prepare himself for the 1,000 feet attempt. Exley, meanwhile, pursued the exploration of a huge underwater cave at Bushmanskat, South Africa, diving to 863 feet in the system. During this dive, Sheck experienced visual, somatic, and neurological symptoms of high-pressure nervous syndrome, HPNS. The symptoms resolved during his ascent to his first deco stop at 400 feet. Later, there were no persistent effects. On April 4, 1994, a year of preparation culminated as Exley, Bowden, and their team gathered at Rancho Azufrosa, ready to make history. Over 2 intense days, they meticulously staged decompression bottles at precise depths in Zacaton and El Nacimiento, ensuring every detail was flawless. The divers chose to descend on independent lines, a crucial decision to prevent contact and interference during their rapid plunge into the abyss. Each would dive solo, navigating the unknown alone. Armed with multiple dive tables, they faced the uncertainty of the exact depth and time it would take to reach the bottom. To prepare for the monumental 1,000-foot attempt, they completed several deep air acclimation dives, pushing their limits and sharpening their focus. The stage was set for an extraordinary feat of courage and endurance as they prepared to explore the mysterious depths of Zacaton like never before. Early in the morning on Wednesday, April 6, 1994, present on the day was the team consisting of Exley, Bowden, Mary Ellen Eckhoff, Exley's ex-wife, Karen Holy, Bowden's wife, and Kristovich and Marcos Gary. Many press representatives joined to document this attempt. Also in attendance was the landowner and his family, along with many other residents of the area. With everything meticulously prepared, the divers and their support team gathered at the banks of El Nacimiento. Optimism hung in the air. Sheck and Bowden donned their gear and embarked on the 600-foot journey through El Pasaje to reach Zacaton. Emerging into the cenote, they leisurely swam to their descent lines. Sharing a brief exchange about the beautiful day, they wished each other luck. At approximately 9:50 a.m., they parted ways, each moving to their designated line. Silence enveloped them as they steadied their breaths, minds laser-focused on the daunting descent ahead. The calm surface belied the profound depths they were about to explore, setting the stage for a dive into the unknown. After a time, Bowden felt all was right and glanced over at Sheck. He nodded in affirmation. Bowden then submerged at a rate of 300 feet per minute to 600 feet with heli-air mix. After which, he switched to bottom mix for the rest of the descent to around 750 to 800 feet, where he first noticed the symptoms of HPNS, which he also saw during his previous dives. All went according to plan. As he passed the 800-foot mark, he was conscious of very little tremor of Sheck's light in the distance. Sadly, it is going to be the last he saw of him. At 900 feet, Bowden shockingly found that he had breathed far more gas volume than he had planned. His bottom mix cylinders contained barely more than 1,000 psi. At that depth, his regulators could not deliver if the pressure dropped less than 500 psi. This was a big problem, and Bowden had to deal with it quickly. At 925 feet, he inflated his buoyancy wings, halting his rapid descent just in time. Preparing for the ascent, he switched to his 80 cubic foot tank of bottom mix, breathing it until he reached his first stop at 450 feet. Then, he switched to his travel mix. To his dismay, both tanks were empty. Panic set in when the regulator on his deep decompression bottle began free-flowing violently as soon as he turned it on. Shutting it off felt like an eternity. Unable to fix the regulator, he had no choice but to open and close the valve with each breath. He faced 8 agonizing minutes of stops between 350 and 300 feet where his next bottle awaited. Bowden felt a wave of relief as he reached the fresh decompression bottle with a working regulator. But now came the long, grueling decompression, where oxygen toxicity and the bends loomed as real dangers. He made the switch to air at 260 feet, guiding him up to 130 feet, where he'd use a 30% oxygen nitrox mix. But as he reached this point, a sudden, chilling realization hit him. Something was wrong with Exley. The calm routine of the dive shattered, replaced by a growing sense of dread as he grappled with the fear of what had gone wrong below. On the surface, Ann Kristovich anxiously watched the bubbles from both divers as they descended. Bowden's bubbles vanished after 2 minutes, followed closely by Exley's as they reached the deep ledge at 250 feet. Then, silence. Only one set of bubbles reappeared 15 minutes later, but she couldn't tell whose they were. A growing unease settled in as Kristovich exchanged worried glances with Bowden's wife, Karen Hola. At the 47-minute mark, as planned, Kristovich dived to meet Bowden. Relief flooded her when she found him, but it quickly turned to dread. Sheck's stage equipment hung untouched, with no trace of him. The chilling realization hit them both as their eyes met, understanding that something had gone horribly wrong in the depths below. Meanwhile, Mary Ellen Eckhoff watched from the cliffs, unaware of the unfolding crisis. When she joined Karen Hole at the surface and learned of the situation, concern gripped her, but she remained calm. Grabbing an extra decompression bottle for Exley, she dove in, heading down to meet Bowden and Kristovich. As she reached them, her worst fears began to take shape. Dropping over the deep ledge, she frantically searched for any sign of Sheck, but there were no bubbles, no trace of him in the dark, silent depths below. The reality of the situation hit her hard, a growing sense of dread taking hold. Hola had scrambled into her gear and caught up with Eckhoff. She met Eckhoff at about 100 feet on her way back up. She was crying and her mask was messed up. Eckhoff wanted to go back to the surface, but Hola grabbed her gauge and saw that it read 278 feet. Hola held her for 30 minutes to get through the decompression. It was a very lonely time. As Bowden reached his 60-foot stop, the grim reality sank in. Sheck was lost. Numbed by the shock, the rest of his decompression felt like a robotic routine, his mind barely processing. After nearly 10 hours, Bowden finally surfaced, only to suffer decompression sickness in his left shoulder, requiring in-water treatment on site. Yet, amid the tragedy, Bowden had made history. He became the first diver to break the 900-foot barrier on self-contained scuba, reaching a record depth of 925 feet, surpassing Exley's previous mark of 881 feet. But the triumph was overshadowed by the profound loss. There was no consideration given to mounting a body recovery for Sheck, since it was accepted that the only man capable of effecting such a recovery was the man who was already down there. 3 days later, while hoisting up the remainder of the equipment, Exley's body drifted up from the deep cave passage and became entangled in the line. One of his tanks still had gas, and his computer read 904 feet, suggesting that whatever trouble he had did not occur until about 9 minutes into the dive. The best educated guess would point to an HPNS incident. Exley had experienced a bad one in Africa that resulted in uncontrollable muscular spasms and multiple visions. This may have manifested again with more violent tremors that could have triggered an oxygen convulsion or made it impossible to negotiate the necessary gas switches. To this day, he is considered the foremost leader in both cave diving and mixed gas diving techniques. He truly led the way, and others followed in his footsteps. His death will remain a mystery and a tragic loss to the cave community.